All right, Krystal Covington, welcome to the Positioning to Profit podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited about this topic that you're going to be sharing your expertise on.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here.
So for the listeners, because I've been kind of scoping you out a little bit, and I see that you have different footprints online, which is really cool. Everything between a YouTube channel, I see that you're a contributor to entrepreneur.com and so many other things. So I thought that the topic that you want to talk about around creating evidence of credibility online is really an important topic for so many because let's face it, leads and attracting leads as a way of life is something that so many people struggle with, right? In the solopreneur space, so to speak. And I think that what you're going to be sharing today is very, very important. But first, tell us a little bit about you and how you got to where you are today.
So I started in college getting involved in sales and marketing jobs. I thought I was doing it just to get by, and then it ended up being my life. One of those things where I kept showing up for interviews and I'd say, I want to be behind the scenes and doing this or that. They'd say, no, 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 you're going to sell. And so I had to learn to sell to keep those jobs. I've had so many unique and stressful sales jobs. I was a promotional model, promoting different types of foods and alcoholic beverages, going all over the place, using back in the day Google Maps. So taking my little Google Maps and going all over the place to go sell things. And then with the evolution of all that came with social media, I then learned to be able to, sell using online methods. But I've done everything under the sun, from hosting events to direct mail, postcards and flyers to newspaper advertising back in the day. And so I've done all the things that marketing has to offer at this point. And so I just evolved from that. My last corporate job was I was a public relations director. It's been so long, I forget my own titles, but I was a PR director for a publicly traded company. And then I moved on to work for myself. And so that was a long journey of ebbs and flows and mistakes and successes. But over time, I really realized that marketing was the thing and something I was really good at. And so I continued within it.
Excellent. So I love this topic of where we are today because I don't know about you, but a lot of what I'm hearing about is a lot of worry in terms of the economy. Things are changing. What worked before isn't working now. And so people have this kind of sentiment of worry and apprehension. And what do I do now? And it's almost like they're caught in this fight, flight, freeze type of thing where they're freezing. Right. And I don't know if you're seeing that too, but I'd love to get your take is like, okay, how do we calm the waters and say, let's kind of reset the sail? I don't even know why I'm using a sail analogy because it's not like I'm a sailor, but I just think it's like, okay, we're coming across some rough waters. What can we do to kind of mitigate the storm, so to speak? I'd love to know how you would handle that.
Yeah. So in times like this, you have to think about what's happening to people's brains. So as a marketer, I'm saying to myself, and just like in 2020, so in 2020, I actually took a month off and told my clients I'm not billing you for a month, as I kind of just watched and kind of envisioned what is going on and paid attention. No one was listening to us when the whole world was shut down. But as soon as that started to go back, I started realizing that the main thing that we needed to do was really think about the psyche of a person. And so they've been through all of this. People never got the chance to relax and get over the burnout that we had from 2020. And now we're in a recession. And so you can listen to different people and some people say we're in a recession, we've been in a recession. And then there are people saying we're going to a recession. It depends on how they define it. And there are actual definitions that would say that we are in one right now.
Right.
And so with that being said, people are in a space of fear. They're in a space of apprehension to move. And when people can't move, they're in that place of anxiety. You have to reach them more intimately. And so you can't just flash ads in front of someone or just throw up a post and expect to get movement. you have to do things that are much more intimate.
Mhm.
And so in that situation, things like messaging, things like calling, things like networking in person and seeing people in person have the highest level of effect. They always do, but in these situations, the other activities actually become less valuable. They become more expensive because it takes more touches to get someone to do something. The things that they will do are things that take some of the emotional pressure out. So, for example, they're probably experiencing much more success with movies right now. They're probably finding much more success with anything related to entertainment right now because people, when they're stressed out, they look for outlets and they
Yeah,
want to have fun and they
right.
want to laugh and they want to smile. And so, if you're doing something like that, this is the moment for you. And then anything that you can do if you're a service based entrepreneur like myself, and like what I assume most listeners are, is trying to reach people in more intimate ways, so that they can connect with you and feel good about their relationship with you and get that positive emotion in a different format versus entertainment.
I love it. So then with that said though, then the question would be like, okay, well, how do you make that happen online in the midst of all the noise that's out there? Because let's face it, we're bombarded with all kinds of stuff. And I couldn't agree with you more. We actually have been having conversations in my community about that is the whole twisting the knife, fear-based marketing. It's just not working because I think people are so done with being scared and like enough with the pain, right? Give me some
Yes.
escapism like you're talking about, which I think is so dead on. So how do you do that? How do you set yourself apart in your opinion in this noisy world? What do you suggest?
Yeah, it's funny. We just got through another political cycle again, and they do a lot of that twisting the anxiety knife on
Yep.
us. And so, in that situation, as a service entrepreneur, you have to be the joy for people. If you are entertaining and you have that way about you, back when I first began my career, I began doing social media videos and I would promote all of my videos, but I did them every day and I did them all on positivity. So I would talk about leadership lessons. I would read a quote and talk about something positive, and I would just put these great things out there. But then I wasn't just posting, I was commenting to other people and saying, "Go, girl, yes." I
Mhm.
was selling a women's organization and a women's membership. And so being that person that's always on their post cheerleading, people I didn't even know, I would just find people that live in Denver and that look like a professional or an entrepreneur of some sort that would probably like to network. And then I would just say nice things to them. So often, I remember the first time somebody came to my event that I asked, how did she get here? Because she looked miserable. She looked like she did not want to be at that event. And I said, what made you come here? She said, you're everywhere and you're always talking to me. So I felt like I needed to meet you. And so she joined as a membership and then she came as a regular. And that told me that those kinds of messages, just being there all the time with people, can be super valuable. And so I was extremely targeted at that time. And that was the most intimate and targeted I've ever been in my marketing in my life, because I really wanted to grow that women's network that I built here in Denver. And so I had a little list of people. I had found them. I looked at what they posted. I looked at what their jobs were. And I had this short list of people, and I would follow them and I would make constant comments on their posts. And it was people that post. I mean, some people, they sit in the background and they never say anything on social media, but it's got to
Yeah.
be the ones that do. And I was just there for them. I was there with them. And today, one of the tactics that I use for my businesses, so now I have retail businesses. And so in this sort of climate, people sometimes use the retail therapy. And I thought this is a great pathway to choose. I bought a business this summer and I said, I'm going to have something else because I always try to have different things that I can do depending on what the market changes are. And
Mhm.
so I'll focus my energy on whichever one is best for whatever market we're in at that moment.
Mhm.
And so I'm focusing a lot on the skincare business. And then I have a product for dogs as well. And so what I'm doing for those is literally messaging and commenting and just really going after intimate connections with people and not just posting an emoji. I do that sometimes too, but really trying to, if there's something funny, saying what's funny. If they said something in their video, commenting on the video and saying specifically what was interesting about what they said. And that sort of thing forms a relationship. They're seeing so many ads, and especially right now, it's the
Yeah.
holidays.
Oh my God, even more so.
Holidays when we're doing this. I don't know when this will be published,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the holidays, we become so overwhelmed and bombarded with messages. People are spending millions to reach us right now. And so anything that cuts through that. And so it is a manual action. You can't really, there's not really great tools for this, but really finding your target people and really just being there with them and reaching out to them to the point that they say, oh my goodness, I need to meet you. And they ask you for a meeting.
It's so unusual because what you're saying is no different than what you would do at a networking before the internet. It's like belly to belly, face to face type of deal. Like, let me get to know you. And it's so funny that we're thinking like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work or whatever. And it would be, but it's just part of that. Before we hit the go live button, we were talking about tiny habits, and it's like, okay, it would be no different than just incorporating that habit in terms of your day. And you can see that the consistency of that habit of engagement that you had in the strategy of being consistent with it got you the results that you were able to achieve. So it's no different because I could just see in my, I'm processing what you're saying. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so great because it's true. It's just being authentic and engaging beyond the emoji and really having a personalized response instead of just like, like just a smiley emoji or whatever. I think the emoji made it so easy for everybody, but people aren't really engaging. And isn't it interesting how refreshing it would be for somebody to actually engage with you? I can't believe that that's the outlier now, right?
I know.
It's so
So
crazy.
it's so interesting. We've gotten so used to being watchers and
Yes.
followers that we forget to engage and connect. There's this man, he lives here in Denver as well. And I met with him years back. He actually, I still had a full-time job at the time, and he was looking for someone to help him making his online courses and everything. And he was getting into cannabis, and I was so overwhelmed by the concept. I said, you know what? I don't know if I'm ready to work with you, but this sounds amazing. And I'm going to follow you and stay tuned to what you're doing. And we've stayed connected on LinkedIn. But this man, I look at him as the master of this concept because I will post something on LinkedIn and he manages his connections meticulously. I will say something and then he'll send me a message that talks about it. And then he'll say, I saw what you had said, and, I have some wisdom to add to that. And he's helped me.
Wow.
There was something I didn't even know. It was a big mistake. I'm sitting here bragging about it on LinkedIn because I'm just learning about this retail business and all the things I have to do. There's taxes, there's barcodes, there's all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I put on social media and I said, oh, I just paid someone to handle this for me and it's all done. And then he said, you better watch out for who you pay for this and ask them this, 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 and this, and this question. And I said, I didn't ask those. And then I realized there was a better way to have done it that this person didn't do. And while they didn't do it bad or wrong, I needed to go through this other channel. And he fixed it. He just fixed it by just giving me those bullet points and telling me what to do. And he is a virtual CMO. I'm not that. So now in that circumstance, and the fact that I've got two circumstances where he has saved my life with his little random messages of advice, I will recommend this man to save if somebody's looking for a CMO type that will, go into their company and know the books and know how to figure everything out. That's the dude. And this is because he has been so engaged and connected with me and really looked at what I've done and messaged me to help provide information with nothing expected in return. And so it is it's so rare it doesn't happen. All the other messages I get on LinkedIn are,
Trying to sell you something.
right. Are you looking for influencers?
Yeah.
Do you need online marketing managers?
Yeah. Well, okay.
Like a remote assistant?
As you were saying that, the genius of what this man is doing is that he's being of service And it's so smart because
Yes.
he's captured that mind share in your brain. And who would you not, you'd refer him immediately. Why?
Right.
Because he's been of service. Why? Because he's gained your trust.
Right.
Priceless, priceless. I'm like, I got
Priceless. It's
chills
so
just listening to
simple.
your story because it's so simple and yet we complicate things so much. So I love that. I love that. It's just such a great reminder, like be of service, just be a human, connect with
Mhm.
people. If you can lend a hand, lend a hand. And it's coming back around full circle, amazingly, is that as much as we've tried to automate our life, right, and automate the business side of it, it's like the people that are standing out are the ones that are just doing like, hey, let me just help. Let me be a
Yeah.
service. That's what you're saying that I'm taking away, which is really powerful. So good. Okay, so talk to me about the things that are working for you right now personally, because I know you were talking about how you've been able to attract different clients and whatnot that has been really successful for you.
Yeah, so I get most of my clients still through SEO. And so a lot of times I've put myself on all these different marketplaces, and I did this years ago. So when I first left my corporate job, I needed to make money. And so there's a lot of different platforms like Upwork and such where you can post yourself. And I post myself and I put my real name in there. And a lot of people put other names or they allow the platform to abbreviate, but the platforms don't really stop you completely from putting your information in there. And so I'll do things like make a video. I write really quality information there and talk about myself authentically of who I am, how I work, and what my experiences are. And a lot of times, and I hope they don't listen, a lot of times people will find me. And I've had somebody even say that she took my picture and she did a reverse Google image search. Only one person said she did this. She must be really savvy.
Yeah,
But
let's
she
listen to
image
her.
searched me and then she found me. And so people will find me on those platforms. And because they don't really want to use the platform and they're not loyal to the platform, they'll call me personally. And so a lot of my clients have always, over the years, come from that. I also do a lot of work with SEO. All of those things are long term. On the
Right.
short term end, when I just need a couple clients right away, and I need to fill a space immediately, I do also use social media and I focus a lot around LinkedIn for myself because I've built a network there. And it's one of those places where these people that are there, they are professional connections and they know me. But just having a really strong profile and then posting things that are random thoughts. Sometimes it might be an article or something like that, but usually it has nothing to do with what I'm doing as far as my career. It might be a small win that I've had or something that I'm experimenting with, and I'll share that. But then it brings attention to me, and then people say, "Well, who is she?" They click to my profile, realize what I do, and then reach out. And so that basic activity sometimes will help. And I do a lot of commenting. And so, again, I really believe in commenting and actually engaging. And so I do a lot of commenting on other people's posts when I need clients because those quality responses that I'm giving
Mm,
can demonstrate again what I do. And when I do something, say something really interesting. For example, I had a post the other day. Somebody had written something, and it was about work and work. I haven't worked in a workplace since 2017.
mhm.
Um, and at that, in that within that post, it was talking about something like working remotely or working at home. And so at that time, when I did work in the workplace, I worked at home some. And so I talked about how it changed my life and how it actually assisted me in really being able to be more effective and make more money and reach new heights. And it got a lot of likes from some of her connections, and then some of her connections connected with me. And so that kind of boosts me up. And so those kinds of things where I'm commenting on something and giving really quality insights or real authentic information about myself, those things help to boost my profile. And then people are more likely to find me. And
Right.
if they find me that way, they say, "Oh, you're friends with so and so. I'm looking for a marketing person. Can we talk?"
I love that. So do you think that that's your primary way from a differentiation standpoint, what helps you, to stand out?
I think so. Back in the day before I had kids, I would go out all the time and I had these and I still do have I feel like the result of all of that work back then still feeds me today because I was out there. I did what I call pounding the pavement. I was just everywhere. And so that made an impact, but I also would take those people online because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do that forever. And then after I had kids, it just became impossible. And
Yeah.
so now I'm doing it from behind the computer or behind my phone. So, speaking of the small habits, your previous episode. So I don't know when people will hear me, but
Hmm.
the episode that I just listened to, that was the recent episode, was about small habits.
Hmm.
And I wish I remembered her name so I could give her credit. But I was thinking as we're talking, about what small habits I might have. And I did create a small habit recently because I'm promoting so many things. When my baby sleeps, I use my phone and I use that time to comment. And she sleeps a few hours a day. And I sit there and I will comment on things on Reddit, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on LinkedIn. And those are the things that have become a habit that I continually do so that I can be seen.
Yeah, so that was Julie DeLuca Collins, episode 154. She had a great an episode sharing some tiny habits and how it really builds confidence in you. And it's so true. And I hear a lot of times is that the mommy guilt, like you want to be present, but at the same time you want to build your business. And what you're saying is like, hey, like slip it in right in the little crevices of your day when you can. And I think it's when you have that focus and that's what you're available for, and then releasing any guilt that goes along with it. Because I see that so much and I get so many comments from clients like, oh, I want to be present. I'm like, well, nobody's telling you not to be present with your kids, but it's just being really raw and real about what you are available for. And I think that's such a perfect example of how you can incorporate those tiny habits in your day. And what you're saying is just finding those moments and being consistent with it, and having that strategy of engagement. And then you're doing it across a lot of different platforms. Is that what I'm hearing?
I am, yes, because there's just so many places that I can meet people, and I've had people mention different places. I had a client, a really great client, that found me on Instagram. So I don't have anything to post anymore. Back in the day, I was out there so much doing events, and people would take pictures of me, and I could repost the photos that were taken while I was speaking. And because I'm not really doing that anymore, um, I then just focus on the engagement aspect of things. And I will post sometimes pictures of my kids, but for the most part, um, just being present in those spaces, and in any space I can get clients. I haven't gotten a client from Reddit yet. But that's a new thing. I thought, oh my goodness, this is a new platform. I'm on Reddit every day looking at mommy posts.
Mm,
Um, they make me laugh and they make me feel connected to what other people are going through. It is amazing. And because I don't have to, I prefer that we don't have our personal on Facebook. Everything is so personalized, and you don't feel like you can share honestly. On
yeah.
Reddit, I could share a little bit honestly, and so I've been there, and I thought, oh my goodness, I need to create a business page on Reddit so that I can
Oh, can you
comment
create a
on that.
business page on Reddit?
You can just put your business, you just make a profile, and your
Oh,
business
as your
opens up.
business. Got it. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's really smart. Yeah, I've used it. I've used that tool. It's great from a market research standpoint to see what people are saying and the words in which they're saying. I'm like, I love going on there and seeing that to that point because there's just priceless commentary on there about
Yes.
anything. I haven't heard of anybody using it as a lead gen thing, which would be really interesting.
So I follow something called trends.co. You have to pay a lot. It's like $300 for the year. And
Uh,
so they did have a story in there of someone who has been using Reddit for messaging to build their to find influencers to promote. And they basically reach out to anybody. Anybody can be an influencer for them. And so they've actually made a lot of money and have had a really successful affiliate influencer program because of it. And then today, I just bought somebody's software that reached out to me. So I posted in one of the marketing, it was an entrepreneurial group. And I posted and I said something about owning a marketing company. And this person reached out to me in a message and said, "You said you own a marketing company. Can you help me?" And he said, "I have this software and I'm trying to market it." And so I said, "Okay, well, send me your software." Best tool ever for
Oh,
me right now. And it's exactly what I need. I use all these AI. I don't even know
yeah.
what it's called right now because I literally just found it today. He messaged me. I gave him my email address and he invited me to go into the software. So I just bought somebody's software from a Reddit message. So I can now
Wow.
testify this messaging thing works.
Yeah, you are giving me so many perspectives on this, on things that I just have to be better about. I mean, I have a social media manager, and I'm not saying like I'm going to fire her. I'm not going to say that, but it's just interesting. Like, I have to be out there engaging more beyond just the posting because and it's like the posting is push and your engagement strategy is really pull. And so I've done too much push, not enough pull. And this is where it's so important to have both, right? Like, we know
Yes.
better. So this is such a good reminder and call to action. Like, you cannot take your foot off the gas on this, people, because I'm telling you, it's just like it's something that you have to make time for. And I mean, you're really giving me so many kind of ideas around like, oh, I got to get back in the game on the engagement side because it's so funny how I've really let that go this year. Not as good as I could be. So for sure, that's something for me to look at. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what are you excited about for 23 as it relates to the growth of your business, the evolution of your business? What are you thinking?
So I've just done so many changes. So just for those, I love to I don't want to TMI, but I love to share with others what we have created. So my husband and I basically put our heads together and we said, what can we do? And we've done a lot of stuff. And so over 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, we bought our first rental house. And then we just kind of let that ride. And I did my marketing, he did his job. We had our rental. We saw it was really working and said,
Love
okay, so investing in things that we weren't quite comfortable with can work. And so then I got some really great funding with an extremely low interest rate. And I said, what do I do with this? How are we going to invest that? We bought another rental. And then I bought a business. I bought a business called Bella Virtue Organics. And I now own a skincare brand. And then I also invested in owning and creating a brand of CBD pet products. And I know it sounds like I'm doing a lot, but I do nothing but take care of my kids. Stuff is easy. It is run, there's a management company with the
Wow.
property. There's men in the background managing my Amazon
Oh,
account,
right.
Bella Virtue Organics. And then I have to hire someone to help me with the pet company. But basically, everything just generates income. And I'm so excited about the fact that I was brave enough to do these things. I had heard about people buying companies years ago. And then even like for the example of the man that talks to me on
Yeah.
LinkedIn and has become a resource,
Yeah.
he was into CBD and cannabis a long time ago. And I finally I realized that it has a moat. It's different. It's something that is hard to get into and still at this point is hard to get into. So finding new things to get involved with that are easier to promote. And so I'm really excited about the fact that we have so much going on. We're able to manage it with our strong teams, and excited about the fact that I get to I've always promoted other people's stuff. And I've made I stay with a high vibration. I just learned what a low vibration versus high vibration is. Low vibration, you're usually envious of other people.
Yeah.
I was always really proud of how much money I made other people, and they would tell me, and I would get excited. Oh my God, you made that much money!
Hmm.
And so it made me feel like the work I did was worthwhile. But then my husband had looked at me and he said, "So earlier this year, I had a really big client. He said, "So you made them all that money?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "Well, what if somebody gave you that money and you could do it for yourself?" And I said, "But I can't do it for myself. I don't have a product." And so that was our kind of bing, bing, bing.
Yeah. It's time.
say, yeah, it's time to do something for you and not just make other people money. And so it's been really cool to be in that space and feel good about it. And it's not easy, it's interesting, it's a journey.
Yeah.
And even being a marketer, it's still kind of like, whoa,
Yeah.
you learn things as you go. And I've never been this deep into the financials and the knowledge of the ins and outs and stuff.
Mm.
But it is really exciting to be in a new world like that and not just be behind the scenes helping other people make money, but to also have something where I can potentially, make what I was making them.
That's phenomenal. And it's really making you into a stronger, diversified entrepreneur. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So that's super, super cool. All right. So let's transition as we're closing out to the fast 5 questions. If that's okay with you. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You answer right away, like just instinctually what you get. All right. Question number 1. What is your idea of perfect happiness?
Relaxation. Simplicity.
I know. Isn't it true? Number 2. What cool tool have you discovered that has made your life so much easier?
The one I just talked about that I don't know the name of, the most amazing AI
curious.
writer.
I'm like, I have to know what this tool is when we stop recording. Okay. Number 3, what is your greatest extravagance?
My greatest extravagance I haven't had in years, and it's a massage. I guess when I don't get massages, I going to the chiropractor.
Mm-hmm. What a treat. All right. If you weren't an entrepreneur, what would you be doing as a career?
I would be performing in some way.
Cool. And after all is said and done, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be that I helped a lot of people feel good about their lives and to be more successful because I existed.
I love it. Krystal Covington, thank you so much for being on the Positioning to Profit podcast. How do people get a hold of you? What's the best way?
KrystalCovington.com. Krystal spelled with a K.
KrystalCovington.com. Also, check out the show notes so that you can connect with Krystal. Thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you and continued success in everything that you're doing. Really great stuff.